Business leaders worldwide are reacting to President Trump withdrawing from TPP. Joining me now is Phil Levy. He is a fellow with the Chicago Council on Global Affairs, here to talk more about this reaction. And what do you think? Is this a good thing or no?
It's not a good thing. It may have been something that we could have anticipated. TPP was not exactly popular during the last election, but this could cause a lot of problems for American business.
Let's take a look at some of the sectors already up in arms. For instance, farmers. Farmers are very concerned that they could lose some $4 billion because of not being able to trade overseas.
You're exactly right. One of the big selling points of the TPP was big markets like Japan. U.S. farmers were going to get access they've been trying to get for decades.
Also, there's a lot of concern about what this will mean for China. Will China now have a bigger edge out there in the world?
I think it affects China two ways. So one is it makes the U.S. look less involved in the region, leaving a vacuum for China. The other thing is this was a chance for the U.S. to set some standards and to set rules that China might eventually have to abide by on things like state-owned enterprises. At the moment, we're passing up that chance.
Does China now have the upper hand?
For the moment, they do.
Absolutely. Okay, now what's the upside to not being in TPP? Because as you mentioned, I know there were some candidates such as Bernie Sanders who was against this.
The popular stance, most of them came out against it. I think it was not a perfect agreement by any means. So you could talk about room for renegotiation and improvement. It's not clear, though, whether that's what President Trump intends.
So what do you think is likely to happen from here, and how are people preparing?
I think business is trying to figure out what this means. This was the thing that was going to set the rules through which all of the Asia-Pacific trade was going to take place, and now those rules are tossed up in the air.
Do you think there will be a renegotiation on TPP by President Trump?
There have been congressional leaders who have called for that kind of a renegotiation. President Trump has seemed to indicate that he likes bilateral deals better. So who knows whether he's going to actually come back to this.
The president has also come out very strongly in favor of bringing jobs back to the United States. And this is one of the reasons why he doesn't want this open flow of trade happening here. But do we have enough workers here to cover all these positions?
Well, you're right. At the moment, we actually have fairly low unemployment. But I think the other key to this is that American business, when it succeeds through engaging with global trade. You think about things like global supply chains. A Boeing airplane is not just made in the United States. They're successful because they use parts from all over.
What are you hearing from some business leaders out there?
I think they're confused and concerned that it's very hard to know where U.S. policy is going to go, and these are the rules of the game that the business leaders have to play by.
Do you think that business leaders will push the president on this?
I think you will. Both business leaders, farm groups will say, you promised us opportunities that America was going to be successful, and it's not clear how this makes America successful.
And as you mentioned earlier, though, there are a number of people who don't want this. They don't want this trade happening around the world, even though the rest of the 11 that are involved in TPP will carry on. So do they have a good argument?
Well, there are certainly sectors that would be affected. If you think about things like shoes, there's a shoe factory in Maine that matters. If you think about, say, in the South, competing with Vietnamese catfish, you can identify a few specific sectors, but the estimates we've had were that TPP was going to help most Americans.
Thank you for coming on the show, and please keep us posted.
Will do. Thanks for having me.